Have you ever stayed in a hotel and thought, is this place haunted? I mean, have you ever had that feeling where the air just feels heavier? Maybe it's a creaky floorboard in the dead of night, or who knows, something more. Well, if that sounds familiar, you're in for a treat today because we're talking about the haunted history of the Bay Haven Hotel. Now, technically, it's part of Ringling College of Art and Design now, but its spooky legacy still haunts the hall, so to speak. Hey, y'all, this is Bo Carter, and welcome back to Old Florida Now, where we dive deep into the forgotten corners of Florida's history. And don't worry, I'll walk you through both the history and those ghost stories that seem to stick around, just like the spirit, some folks swear, still wander the building.
Welcome to Old Florida Now, where we uncover the rich history and hidden stories of the Sunshine State. Each episode will explore the people, places, and events that shaped Florida's past. Let's dive in.
So here's the setup for y'all. The Bay Haven Hotel, what's now the Keating Center, wasn't always filled with art students. In fact, back in the day, was talking the 1920s, this place was like the spot for high society types to escape the northern winters. You know, before Miami and Orlando were even blips on the radar, Sarasota was where people flocked. So here's a bit of backstory. The Bay Haven Hotel was built during Florida's land boom in the early 1920s. Florida was booming. Land speculation was insane. People thought they could make a quick fortune buying and selling property. And this hotel was one of many luxury resorts popping up to cater to those hopeful investors and wealthy northerners seeking sunshine. Back then, the Mediterranean revival style was all the rage in Florida. And you see that in the design of the Bay Haven. I mean, with the arched windows, stucco walls, red tile roofs, it's that classic, you know, old school Florida vibe. Now, let's be real. Not all was sunshine and beachside cocktails. The hotel's fortune took a nosedive in the late 1920s when Florida's real estate bubble, it burst. And this wasn't just a small dip. It was a crash. Sarasota, like much of the state, went from boom to bust practically overnight. The Great Depression sealed the deal for a lot of those high-end hotels. Many of them closed, and for the Bay Haven, well, it was no exception. The luxury that once attracted high society faded, and like many others, it went through different phases of, you know, occupancy, ownership, and decay. Okay, so you're probably thinking, all right, Bo, when do we get to the ghost part? I hear you. Let's dive into the spooks. So let's fast forward a bit. Over time, as the building's glamour wore off and it was repurposed for different uses, strange things began to happen. And it wasn't long before rumors started spreading about it being haunted. And let's be honest, what's an old Florida building without a few ghost stories? Am I right? One of the most famous spirits linked to the Bay Haven is the ghost of a woman named Mary. Now, Mary's story isn't officially documented, but locals, especially those connected to the paranormal community, say she was a former prostitute who frequented the hotel. The legend goes that she fell in love with a guest at the hotel, and when he abandoned her, she took her own life. People say she still haunts the halls, wandering in a black nightgown, sad and forlorn. Guests, even some students, claim they've seen her figure running through the hallways or felt a cold rush of air like someone walking right by them. Now, get this. Apparently, she's also been known to mess with the lights. You'll hear stories about lights flickering on and off without any explanation. And it doesn't stop there. Cameras, you know, like paranormal investigators' gear, have reportedly malfunctioned in the building. Batteries drain instantly, photos don't develop right, and flashes just won't work. Spooky, right? But it's not just Mary who's believed to haunt the place. Orbs, those little balls of light often linked to spirits, have been caught on camera, and folks have even seen full body apparitions. Like Imagine standing in a hallway and seeing someone walk by only to realize no one's actually there. Creepy. All right, so what about now? The Bay Haven isn't a hotel anymore. It's part of Ringling College of Art and Design. Specifically, it's now called the Keating Center. The school, by the way, has a reputation for creativity, and I got to wonder if the building's haunted history inspires some of that student artwork. But here's the thing. Just because it's a college building now doesn't mean the ghosts have packed up and left. In fact, many say that the paranormal activity has increased since it became part of the college. Students and faculty have reported strange occurrences, hearing footsteps, seeing shadows in places where no one should be, even doors slamming shut on their own. Now, not everyone buys into these ghost stories, of course, but even skeptics admit the building has a weird vibe. Some folks say you can feel the history in the walls, and the good, the bad, and the creepy. Now, the Bay Haven isn't Sarasota's only haunted spot. The whole area has got its fair share of ghost stories. Just a little way down the road, you've got the Ringling Towers, which used to be this massive old hotel before it was torn down. Ghost hunters used to love that place, swearing it was full of evil spirits. And if you're really into paranormal stuff, Sarasota's got tons of other haunts, like Pelican Alley Restaurant and the Hermitage. All right, y'all. So to wrap things up, I want to give you a couple of great resources if you're curious about the Bay Haven Hotel, or maybe you're just a sucker for a good ghost story like me. First off, if you're looking to dig deeper into the haunted history of Sarasota and the Bay Haven Hotel, check out the Sarasota Magazine. It offers an article on Sarasota's haunted spots, including the Bay Haven Hotel's transformation and its ghostly folklore. You can also explore ghost stories tied to Sarasota's broader haunted history. Places like the Rosemary Cemetery and Katazan on Visit Sarasota's website, they've got a great breakdown of spooky spots across the city that'll give you chills, trust me, for podcast fans. Besides ours, of course, there's the History Goes Bump podcast, which did a deep dive into haunted locations connected to the Ringling family and the Bay Haven Hotel. It's a super cool listen if you're into paranormal investigations and the historical side of things. You can find a link to all these resources in the show notes. So what do you think? Would you stay overnight in a place like the Bay Haven? Or better yet, if you've been there, have you seen anything spooky yourself? I'd love to hear your stories. Maybe we'll even share them on the show next time. You can hit me up on our Insta, send in your ghostly encounters. Thanks for tuning in to Old Florida Now. Today, I hope you enjoyed this dive into one of Sarasota's spookiest landmarks. We got plenty more history and mystery, coming your way. So be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, this is Bo Carter signing off. Stay spooky, Florida. Catch y'all next time.
Thanks for listening to Old Florida Now. Stay tuned for more stories from the Sunshine State's past. Until next time.